Her cabinet is surrounded by a moat of exposed isle.
There hasn't been a guest list or a velvet rope or a moat that's ever kept me out.
Hello, and welcome to TalkWord, the show where we get curious about English words and really dig into what they mean. Today, we're talking about a word that links medieval warfare with billion-dollar companies. Yep, we are digging deep, literally, into the word moat. So, let me start with a question for you. What on earth does a stone castle from hundreds of years ago have in common with a modern tech giant? I know, it sounds like the start of a bad joke, right? But the answer is actually one single, really powerful word that explains a brilliant defensive strategy, both way back then and right now. All right, so let's get into it. To really understand why this word is so important today, we've got to jump in our time machine. We have to go way back and start with what a moat originally was.
At its heart, a moat is exactly what you're probably picturing. A big, wide ditch, usually filled with water, that goes all the way around a castle. The whole point of it? Protection. It was a simple idea, but man, was it an effective way to keep unwanted guests out.
And here's the clever part. It wasn't just about the water. A moat did so many things at once. For starters, it physically stopped attackers and their big siege towers from even getting close to the castle walls. It also made it pretty much impossible for enemies to dig sneaky tunnels underneath. And maybe, most importantly, it forced everyone to go through one single entrance, the drawbridge. Talk about controlling the flow of traffic.
Now, you might be thinking this is a classic medieval invention, right? A product of knights and kings. Well, the idea of a defensive ditch is actually way, way older than that.
I mean, people have been digging ditches to protect their homes for thousands of years, but it was definitely the medieval era that perfected the classic water-filled moat we think of. Of course, then technology changed. Powerful cannons came along, and suddenly a ditch full of water just wasn't going to cut it anymore. The physical moat was pretty much toast. But, and this is the absolute key, the idea behind it, that was just getting started. And this is what's so cool about language. The actual object can become a thing of the past, but the concept, that idea of a powerful protective barrier that keeps you safe, well, that is more relevant today than ever before.
Which brings us right back to the present day. See, in the world of business and finance, the word moat has been given a totally new job. It's been reborn to describe a very different but very powerful kind of defense.
So what's a business moat? It's basically a company's special advantage that makes it really, really hard for anyone else to compete with them. It's that secret sauce that protects their profits from rivals. The metaphor is just perfect. It keeps the competition out, just like a real moat kept armies out. And you can see just how well this analogy works. Think of a castle's high, strong walls. For a business, that's like having a super strong brand that everyone knows and trusts. And the deep, wide moat, that's like having unique technology or patents that nobody else can copy. And that single drawbridge, the only way in or out, that's like having high switching costs, where it's just too much of a pain for your customers to leave you for someone else.
Okay, enough theory. Let's make this real. What do these moats actually look like out in the wild? Let's check out a couple of perfect examples, one literal and one metaphorical. First up, the classic, the real deal. If you want to see a textbook literal moat, you got to look at Bodiam Castle in England. I mean, just look at it. It was built in the 14th century purely for defense, and that massive body of water is exactly what the word originally meant.
And now for the modern version, a company you probably use every day, Google. Their search engine is maybe one of the best examples of a metaphorical moat. Think about it. Their technology, the incredible amount of data they have, and the simple fact that we don't even say search for it anymore, we say Google it. All of that creates a gigantic barrier that makes it almost impossible for a new search engine to compete. Now that is a powerful moat.
So let's sum it all up. When you hear the word moat today, it can mean one of two things. It could be the original, literal meaning, a water defense around a castle. Or it could be the modern, metaphorical meaning, a special advantage that protects a business. And that brings me to one last question, but this one's for you. What's the moat in your own life? What's the special thing that protects you? Is it a unique skill you have for your job? Maybe it's an amazing group of friends who always have your back. It's kind of interesting to think about, isn't it?
Thank you so much for joining me on this little word journey into moat. It's such a great reminder of how language can evolve in the coolest ways. And hey, if you love exploring words like this, you should totally check out the TalkWord mobile app. You can even create your own explanations, just like this one. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.
Surround your camp with moat and stockade. It's a moot point, Damani, because I don't have these, all right?